Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mike Colleen at MikeColleen.com. Alright, so I'm going to shift gears here today. For the last 2 or 3 years, I knew I was going to eventually come back to the dating relationship stuff, but this channel it's kind of evolved into its own being. So I knew the channel had changed, especially when we got into the narcissist abuse stuff I think it's been about 3.5 years now that we've been making videos on this. And I essentially left the dating relationship coaching. Now, you got to understand, everything that I learned from psychology in college to hypnosis to NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, to timeline therapy, to energy healing, to everything that I've ever studied. And I studied for a long time. First, I started working with clients for therapeutic reasons, phobia cures, and, fear, overcoming fear into confidence, etc., and all the personal development stuff. But I really wanted something to, to focus or aim all of my energy into. And it turned out that dating relationship coaching was something that really, it was like all of the education and stuff that I had, it combined into this, and it allowed me to see things on a much deeper level. So what I learned and developed through the course that I call male to female communication, it is really the base of everything that I teach in my narcissist abuse course, in my coaching, everything that when you listen to my videos, a lot of you are like, wow, like how did you know that, or how did you see that? Like there's a lot of unconscious patterns that narcissists will do. It's like, well, the communication side, and it's got, how do I explain this? I'm not going to spend much time on this. I want to kind of jump to what I want to speak about, but it allowed me to see things that nobody's teaching. No one's teaching it out there. Not only for the narcissist abuse stuff. Like, okay, one video is a good example of that is my advanced word salad video. When you watch that, like, holy shit, they do that all the time. Like, yeah, it's a technique that they're using. And if it wasn't for my history, my background, and my education, I never would have saw that. It would have just kept going over it. And no one's talking about it. Nobody mentions it. Sure, they talk about word salad, but what I teach in that video is different than just word salad. It's go watch it if you want to. That'll probably be the best way. So the good news is I found some really core patterns in between men and women, the differences in romance and love and communication, and what a woman needs to feel loved, and what a man needs. And we're going to talk a little bit about that in this video. So what happened was, how do I say this? It really wasn't on accident. It was just an amalgamation of different information from radically different therapeutic ideas and teachings that allowed me to see something while I was putting the pieces together that you won't find anywhere else. So one of the concepts, there's a concept they taught us in NLP. It was to find the highest purpose. And that's when you know, like, oh, well, you want to make money, not because you want to make money. It's because you want to feel happy, you want to feel free, or you want whatever. And it's different for everyone. So I started seeing patterns within relationships and within love. And it's like, well, what do you really want? What's going on here? And it really, I'm about to reveal it in a second. It's really what we essentially want from everything. Well, why did you go to college? Why did you take that risk of taking out the student loans, or even spending all that money year after year after year? Well, so I could get a good job. Well, for what purpose? Well, so I could make good money. Well, for what purpose? Well, for security. For what purpose? For, this, for that. And most things will generally come down to, because I want to feel content. Now, this one concept, I want to bounce to a young lady I've listened to off and on over the last couple of weeks, a few times. This one concept is something that I would say most men miss. It's I think they're completely, what's the word? I don't want to say blind. Yeah, blind to it, deaf to it. They just, because the male brain wants to go faster. It wants more. It wants to, it's, so when I when I get a lot of clients, I say, what's the number thing that women want? They're like, oh, they want money. They want jewelry. They want a nice car. They want this excitement. Yeah, but I tell you what she really wants. She wants to feel content. And guess what men want? Now, they're not conscious of this, but when it really comes down to it, we're going to go a little bit sexual here, not too much. It's going to be very romantic or respectful. It's something it wouldn't cross them, and if I were to say, ask them a question like, what do you want out of a relationship? That this is the one word that never comes up, because I will test men, my clients, over and over, and I've done it for 30 years. To find out, like, well, what's going on between men and women, and this one word does not come up. So I'm like, well, why do you like her? Oh, she's so pretty, she's so this, she's so that. Oh, I want to have sex with her. Why do you want to have sex? Well, I don't know, she's hot. And you want to know why? So he can feel content. See, there's a core pattern in the universe that it's in everything. It's in everything. It's in music. It's in movies. It's in books. If you're a really good writer, it's in your book. Okay. If you don't have this pattern, it's not going to help you in a movie. It's not your music. Your song people aren't going to like it. It's not going to do well. It's not going to be a hit or a bestseller, a #1 song or book or movie or whatever. And it's not just in that. It's in electricity. It's in your water, your plumbing, your faucet. It's in your lungs. It's literally in your heart. It's everywhere. So this is one of the pages from the manual. And here's the thing. Almost every single page in my manual, it's really talking about one core thing over and over. It's the same pattern from a different perspective. So I've had a very wide range of education from many, like, Western sources, the Eastern mind sources, everything, from psychology to just biology class. A lot of the stuff I learned was actually in science and biology. So this chart right here really is electricity. It's the same thing as the electricity that goes from the electric factory into your home through the light bulb, and then it returns. And that's the key word, it returns. It's like a circuit. It's a circle that keeps going. So the male is blue on the left side in the head, and on the right side is the female. If you notice, there's a #1 for the female next to her head. That's mentally. So that's how a woman starts the romantic process. First, you have to connect mentally, and then after a period of time, when she gets enough mentally stimulated communication, which men don't even know what that is, there's a lockbox that pops open her forehead. She drops down to her heart, her emotions. Now there's #2 right there by her heart. And that's emotionally fulfilling communication. So once she gets that fulfilled, it's like call it a bowl, like a fish bowl. And once it gets filled all the way to the top, it overflows and it pops open like another lockbox. It unlocks and opens up, and now she can drop down physically and connect with him sexually. On the physical, it's called the groin level. So see where the arrow goes down and then comes back up to his groin? Well, this is the proper pattern for the way for a man and woman to connect. First mentally, then emotionally, and then sexually. But that's not how men want to connect. I truly believe that, how to explain this? I don't want to say it's a game, but it's like life was, there were challenges made. Well, okay, when you take this course, you're going to look at life completely differently. It's like there was challenges that were created that we're completely unaware of. And when you start to see them, you're like, wait a minute, it's almost as if some higher force, being, God, whatever you want to call it, created this, and we were supposed to figure this stuff out. Now here's the deal. humans used to live like this. This was just nature. In fact, this is nature. This is the natural cycle that a man and woman are supposed to go through. But the problem is, the Western mind, the West came in, and that's the left brain. That's literally, it's the book of Genesis where it talks about the tree of knowledge, which the serpent tricked Adam and Eve into going into. Now we're left brain, and now everything is corrupt. Everything is like a corroded battery. So this pattern is in everything, and I'm going to explain that in a second. So what happened was everything was done wrong. It was like, this is not the natural way to breathe. In fact, white people, we don't breathe. In Hawaii, they call us howlies. Now, it's not just white people. A Hawaiian person can be a haole. So haole is two words, ha, H-A, and the second word ole, O-L-E. So first means ha is breath. Ole means without. It literally means without breath. So a lot of people, even Hawaiian kids to this day, they think, oh, that means white man. No, it doesn't mean white man. It could literally be a Hawaiian. It could be anybody. So most Western people don't breathe before they talk, okay? So like, I'm actually just catching my breath as I'm going through this right now. Most white people, they talk like this, and they talk really fast, and they take really super short breaths, and their lungs are kind of tight. That's why I emphasize doing these breathing exercises all the time. So the Western mind it's the book of Genesis. It's the serpent that tricked us into the tree of knowledge, which again is our left brain. And it closed off from the right brain. The natural way is when you open left to right. So if you look at the male blue, that's left brain, and the right is the right brain, okay? So here's another page from my book. It's the same exact pattern. So the way a healthy human being is supposed to be is to have the left brain open to the right brain, so you can have information transfer from left to right, right to left, etc., etc. So there's a flow. So the modern male doesn't have very many. It's called the corpus callosum. It's just a bundle of nerves in between the left and right hemisphere. So the modern male doesn't have as many neurological connections and doesn't have as strong of a connection where it can go left, right, left, right. But women, for the most part, but we are entering an era because of computers where women are now losing that connection as well, and or at the very least, they get very stuck in the left brain. That's what computers are. So the course really is, there's probably a dozen different exercises I will give to men to do over and over and over. And when I send them home, like, hey, you got to practice this every day, multiple times, etc., because it begins to develop that connection between the left and right brain, where he can begin to speed up. Because a lot of women will be in their left brain, and when she's in her left brain, he totally understands her, because you're using the same processor. But eventually, within a conversation, she'll shift over to the right brain. And the problem is most men won't do that. In fact, they're like, what are you, like right now, like, what are you talking about? What do you mean shift to my right brain? How do you do that? And this is where women will say, come on, keep up, I'm on another page. And I remember when I was younger, like, another page, what the hell she's talking about? Like, didn't make any sense to me. So the Western brain, the left brain, is the external brain. It's all about things, money, cars, jewelry, diamonds. And so what happened is we have essentially corrupted the planet. We've corrupted humans. Humans are not as human. See, here's the deal. The right brain is the human brain. It's the relationship brain. It's the social brain. It's the brain you're supposed to be in when you're interacting with other humans, especially your wife or girlfriend. Now, for most Western-minded men, the concept of telling them it's not about money, they get enraged, because here's the deal. The left brain is all about money. That's the male brain. Now, women have a left and right brain, as I showed in the last image. But the challenge is her mating system is connected to her right brain's communication center. So it gets turned on through the right brain form of being, communicating, being emotionally grounded. and communicating in the internal way. Now, everything I just said, women, you understand me. Men are like, internal what? Wait, what are you talking? Emotionally fulfilling what? What's that? So when women, or even myself, when I tell men, I'm telling you, it's not just about money. In fact, money is actually much lower down the list of values. Women are looking for a man who is left and right brain, who speaks in the internal, mentally stimulating and emotionally fulfilling language, so she can connect with them on a much deeper level emotionally before having sex. Now, this is a weird concept to men, because we're like, why? Because a man is wired to connect with you sexually first. Look at that, where it says physical on the groin, on his side, the left side. Now, there's nothing wrong with men, and men are not being bad. It's like men are wired differently, but it's a really interesting concept. When men learn how to connect with women mentally first, now first they have to learn how, like, well, what do you mean mentally? Like, how do I do that? Like, it's called mentally stimulated communication, and men don't know how to, we don't do it. And if we do it, it's completely on accident, and we don't have no idea when we're doing it. Now, the hardest part is then getting him to shift into his right brain to connect with you emotionally through emotionally fulfilling communication. See, here's the thing. The way a woman connects to her heart is first mentally, then emotionally. And then she'll have sex. And she'll do it gladly. But men, the way a man opens up to his heart, believe it or not, is through the groin. From his groin to his heart. It's all physical. And then what he does, he opens up to his right brain. But the problem is, after men have an orgasm, they fall asleep. And I've explained why in past videos. If you guys want, I'll explain why in the next video. But he generally falls asleep, and now she's not getting her mentally stimulating and emotionally fulfilling communication, which means she never feels content within the relationship. And that's what she's looking for in a relationship. Now, when you do it the male way, he has an orgasm, and the chemical called oxytocin for men relaxes men, okay? Which is what I was earlier said I could talk about later. I'll do it right now. For women, you get oxytocin released into your brain through mentally stimulating communication, and it acts as a caffeine high. So the same chemical stimulates you and gets you high to makes you talk faster, whereas for men, it acts as a relaxant, and it's released into his bloodstream through having sex and eventually having an orgasm. And then once he does, it releases into his bloodstream. And what do most men want to do after sex? They usually want to fall asleep or just sit there and be really quiet and really content. So men get and receive mentally, emotionally, and physical contentment through sex, where she's sitting there going, this is not fair. Why doesn't he care about me? And he's like, what are you talking about? We just had sex. Don't you feel good? No, she doesn't have that same level of contentment as you do, because she gets it through right brain, emotionally fulfilling communication. Again, this is a concept that men are like, what are you talking about? See, the male mating system is connected to his eyes. So once we look at a woman, we are already turned on. We are ready to go. Whereas a woman, her mating system curves off to her right brain. A nerve curves off to the right brain and connects to her right brain communication center. Now here's a concept men, they miss the word. It's right brain. Because men are left brain. The left brain language turns women off. It disconnects her from her emotional system, and thus disconnects her from her mating system, and thus you literally just turned her off on accident. So here's another image that talks about this circle that I was just telling you about, where energy has to flow, okay? It has to go mental, emotional, physical, and then she connects with you sexually, and now it goes up to your heart and then up to your brain, okay? And then the circle, the energy flows. Now here's the deal. When you do it this way, connect with the woman mentally first, and then emotionally, then physically, this energy system begins to build and build energy in a natural, healthy flow kind of system in a way. And now you have extra energy for your children. Whereas when you do it the other way and he connects with you directly from groin to groin, sex to sex, it drains both of you. because it's like putting that piece of metal across the poles on a battery in a car, and the energy just like eventually builds and explodes, which is equivalent to men and women arguing in a relationship. And this is why you argue and fight. And it leaves you both feeling drained. Now you don't have enough, it's literally spiritual or emotional or electric energy to give to your children. It's not just physical energy or time, it's actual energy that children can feed off of. It's like in the Bible, it says man does not live on bread and water alone. He lives off of the manna from the heavens. That's spiritual energy. Now here's the really cool thing. In Hawaii, in Huna, which is their spiritual teaching, they use the same exact word, and it has the same exact meaning. They call it mana. It's spelled the same way too, by the way. Alright, now here's a really interesting thing. When a man and woman connect in this way, when you learn how to expand, okay, I'm just going to share a little bit. Okay. There was a moment when I was making love to a woman that I was dating for years. I think it was probably 10 years. And, well, man, how do I explain this? I'm not going to go too in detail because it's something that I learned how to do through energy healing. And I've done it on my own. My energy healer's done it to me, etc., etc. And you just have this unbelievably expansive awareness. It's just, man, it's like, whoa, what is this? Like, there's no thinking at all. You just open up, okay? It's not just that your chakras open, but your entire energy ball expands way out. So we were making love, and I was expanding my energy while making love, and I was hoping to see if it would affect her and open her up too on this energetic level. And boom, she popped right open, and I could feel it. And I stopped. I go, "Do you feel that?" She goes, "What is that?" I go, "No, don't describe it. What are you feeling?" Because I didn't want to tell her, I wanted her to tell me what she was. I wanted to make sure she was feeling it. And she was, it's like my energy expanded, like larger than the room, like bigger than the building. It's like way out there. I'm like, yes. This was and is the most beautiful. You know, when I was a young man, you hear women talk about, oh, sex should be a spiritual connection. It's spiritual. And as a young man, like, yeah, whatever. I just want to get laid, and we're just horny, etc., etc. But when you learn how to connect with yourself and then learn how to open up and let go and allow your energy to expand, it is literally a spiritual connection. And all of this is done through the internal way. And that is probably the biggest phrase in my business. It's the internal way. Because everything spiritual, everything about love, everything is the internal way. When you really learn how to ground yourself and open up internally, this is how you receive the energy, the spiritual energy, the mana from the Bible, or the mana they talk about in Hawaii. Okay? Well, guess what? Narcissists don't do this. This is why narcissists love to look for an empath, because empaths have overflowing energy. For the most part, I wouldn't say most of them are as open as I am, because I've been doing this for decades. A lot of them don't, like when I teach these techniques, like, what is this? I'm like, yeah, it really opens you up and you get more energy and it flows through you. So essentially though, empaths are very connected emotionally, which means they have a connection spiritually, so they are receiving mana. And that's why narcissists go after you, because they want to feed off of that energy, because they can't get it themselves. They can't get it from the source of God. So narcissists are closed off from this source from the mana, from the energy, the spiritual energy from God, from heaven, from the universe, whatever you want to call it. And here's the really weird thing. So number one, the reason why they hurt you and emotionally and scare you, and they get a lot of anxiety and fear going, because it's like they're pulling up to a gas pump and they're plugging into you and they're siphoning the mana from your body, from your energy source, because they can't get it on their own. The reason being is because they are literally closed off from God. They're closed off from, like, all the chakras are closed off. So essentially what they eventually do to you by constantly, scaring you and gaslighting you, confusing you and doubt, is they close you down. Now, the reason why they do it, it's kind of like poking you with the needles, because once you get in a state of fear, anxiety, or confused, now they can suck the energy from you. Okay, but the problem is they keep doing that. It closes you down too, and now they're looking at you like, well, there's no more energy left here. It's literally like, oh, what's it called? Like when you like when they go and dig in the mountains for gold and ore and nickel and all the minerals. It's just completely, they take it all out. Well, there's nothing left here, so we got to go find another source, and that's what they do. They get rid of you, they throw you aside, and then they go after someone else. They want a fresh source, but they're going to repeat the same cycle again, and they can't figure out why they have to keep going through this. It's because the way they're doing it is wrong. It's corrupt. It's corroded. So that's why they go after you, and they suck this energy from you, like pulling up the gas pump and filling up their gas tank. And it's the most pure fuel that they'll ever receive in their lifetime. And it really makes them high. It is like the best drug in the world to them. It's the best food, the best drink. It's just the most amazing feeling that they can get on the planet. Now, where narcissists screw themselves over is by constantly putting you in a state of fear. It slowly closes you off from your emotional system, and thus you're not receiving spiritual energy anymore. And this is why you went into that really, really dark place. Because by constantly doing this to you, it closed you off from your right brain, your emotional system, from your heart, from your body. It closed your chakras, your crown chakra, your forehead, your third eye. Everything just got locked up and closed down. Because that's the Western way. That's the left brain way. Everything has to, because the left brain way is literally the closed way. That's why the left brain's called in the box. See, left brain people are very logical, and they only think what's in their box is real. In fact, it's not. That's the most limited part of your brain. And here's how they believe it. Well, if it was one scientist and all the other ones were saying no, then they wouldn't believe it. It has to be the majority of scientists, okay? And then they're like, okay, well, if they say it's true, then it must be true. Now, do all these logical men on the planet go and study at, Harvard and universities and look at these molecules under the microscope and do these tests through the Halodron system and all that? No, they don't. They just like, oh, okay, well, if that's what they say, then I believe it. It's called blind faith. That's logic. So they don't actually believe because they know. They believe because, well, I have faith, and I have blind faith, and I believe what I'm told by certain people, and as long as it's accepted by society, therefore I believe it. They don't actually research and study and do the test themselves. So they don't actually know. They just read something, and they believe that this person is telling the truth. The problem with science and physics is about every 3 to 7 years, they completely radically change their beliefs. Say, okay, this isn't true no longer. We were completely wrong. In fact, Neil Tyson deGrasse, there's this video where he goes, man, boy, were we wrong about that. But it was something that you literally had to believe. They would yell at you and scream at you. And now they're saying, man, were we wrong about that? So I said this right here affects everything. When scientists, when it comes to cars, spaceships, transportation, energy is really what I'm talking about. When they finally understand this, because everything we do now it's the linear external push force way. That's the male brain. It's push against the wall, and I got to get this car from point A to point B. Okay? So everything in the left brain is about resistance. That's why left brain people argue and fight so much, because they're in the forehead pushing against each other and using that mental energy. So the left brain's way of looking at life is point A to B, and I've got to get this over there, but this car weighs 2 tons, so how much energy do we need to push against this force, this weight? Whereas the right brain way, or I should say the left and the right brain, when it's flowing together, it's not about resistance. So your focus isn't about fighting resistance. Whereas the left brain, if you're a left brain only person, it's always about fighting and arguing and disagreeing. It's always about resistance. In fact, the concept of non-resistance, meaning flow, is a very kind of weird concept for them. So I truly believe when we begin to look at energy and transportation, etc., in this fashion of flowing energy, we're going to start to create energy. In fact, here's what I believe. I believe fusion, they call it cold fusion. I have a gut feeling that this is what cold fusion actually is. And this is why cold fusion, like you can have this little tiny, I'm talking like I'm holding my thumb and my finger together like a little BB, or little, maybe at the size of a marble, a small marble, regular size marble, can power one of those cruise ships for, I think, 100 years or for 50 years or something. And cold fusion is unlimited energy. So more of this pattern. So your heartbeat is like this. It goes internal and then external, internal and external. Your lungs, you breathe in and then you breathe out. You breathe in and then you breathe out. Sex, the penis goes in, the penis goes out. The penis goes in, the penis goes out. Your kitchen sink, you turn on the faucet, what comes out? Now the faucet itself is literally the penis or the phallic. And then the water goes into the sink, and then it goes down into the disposal, whatever you want to call that, and then it goes down the tubes, it goes back out to the ocean, it goes back out to the water, and then it gets recycled, and then it goes back up to the sky, and then it rains. It's a constant cycle. Everything is a cycle. This is what the yin and yang symbol is all about. It's a cycle. Even the universe, they say the universe expands and then it begins to contract. It's like breathing in and then breathing out. It expands and then it contracts. Everything in life goes through the internal and external pattern. It's a core concept. Once you start looking at life like this, okay, this is when I began to understand how to do therapy with people. When this picture right here, I made this from a manual. Once I understood this, I thought, oh, you got to be kidding me. Like, this is literally the pattern. It's the internal and then the external. And once you connect it, it creates a circle. It creates a cycle. So I love what it says at the very end. It says this can transmute emotional trauma, unlock information. And it really does. It unlocks information within your DNA and it aligns you. And that's what that expanded awareness, like all of a sudden everything is in alignment. It is the most amazing feeling. Now here's the deal. You don't actually do it through sex. Wasn't my purpose. Because I teach this to men. Because when a man can be in alignment, he has that expanded energy, it's very attractive to women. Women will literally walk up to you and start conversations. It's very comforting. It leaves her feeling content. So first of all, yes, I do teach this to men and I teach this to women on how to open up and how to be emotionally grounded. So everything I've talked about, this is what I teach in my course. So because otherwise you're going to be listening to this, oh, this sounds interesting, yeah, whatever. But when you learn how to do this, again, it's not about sex in and of itself, but adding it to sex, it adds a spiritual layer to all of it, a spiritual level to it. Do you know what it does when it's like a pop open or explode open? It's when a man and woman are at oneness on an energetic and spiritual level. That's what it is. And that is divine union. So, you know how Jesus said to, oh man, I forget it. Forgive me. It's either Judas or it was Peter. And he said, I think it was the one who said, because this is when Jesus told the disciples, hey, that my time has come and they're going to come get me and they're going to torture me and beat me and they're going to crucify me. They're going to kill me. And I think it was Peter, and he says, no, I will. And he got into his ego, which is at the bottom, at the point, okay? He got into his ego and says, no, I will never let them do that to you, or I would die before I let you, or something. And that's when Jesus said to him, this is important, listen closely. Jesus said, get behind thee, Satan. Here's what he meant. Okay, so look at this image. At the top is wide open. So this is spacious, the big picture, the vague and abstract. At the bottom is detail and specific. I don't know if you could read it depending on what you're looking at. If your cell phone, probably not. But this is when your pupils get narrow and they come together. That's how you know you're in the far left. And the further you go, the more connected to your reptilian lower brain. The reptilian brain is the kill or be killed brain. So that's why he said, get behind you, Satan. So here's what you do. Your pupils like have laser beams that go out and they connect, okay? When you're in this narrow perspective, it's literally like that. Like your eyes have two laser beams, they connect at a point together. So when they connect at a point, that's how you know someone is operating off the kill or be killed or survival reptilian brain. So when Jesus said, get behind you, Satan, there's a technique where you turn this around and now your pupils dilate open and they slightly pull apart. Now they see the wider view, the bigger picture, the spacious view, and now you're operating from the right brain. This is how, there's more than this, but this is just one of the ways I know when I'm talking to someone, whether they're in their far left brain, mid left brain, or in the right brain. So when you're in your reptilian brain, you're very instinctual. You're literally like a wild animal. It's about survival. It's about kill or be killed. You got to survive. When you're in your right brain, you're seeing the bigger picture, and this is where you see prosperity. This is where you see abundance. So people that are in the other brain, which is called the limited mind, you can't see prosperity. You can't see abundance. It's impossible. So when you want to learn about money and wealth, you have to open up to the prosperous, bigger picture, spacious mind. People in the far left brain truly believes it's either or, kill or be killed. It's either you or it's me. If I'm rich, then you have to be poor, because if you're rich, that means I can't be rich. You know, so it's this either or mentality, take or be taken from, okay? So these people can't see that there's an abundance out there. They just see the limited amount. Oh, there's just this little bit. I'll give you a real life example. So this was a long time ago. We're talking 25 years ago, maybe even 30, but it was a long time ago. It was University of Michigan, and there's this big debate going on outside, and there was kind of like the news was there, and the one group of people wanted to take the money from the other group of people, but the other group of people, they did garage sales, they did bake sales, they did car washes to build up money, right? So a lot of people believe there's only one pie. And then they're like, well, I got to get my equal share. This is a very limited way of looking at it. So I remember they were going back and forth, and there was a girl, a female, who stood up and said, I don't understand. Why can't they do their own garage sales? Why can't they do their own bake sales? You know, why don't they go out and wash cars like we did? Now, believe it or not, that may have not even crossed their mind. They're just like, well, you've got all this money in your bank account, and that's not fair because I don't have a bank account and I don't have any money. But someone comes along, well, why don't you go make your own pie? And you're like, we can do that? See, people that think in terms of either or, they're very narrow. Like it's like horses, like with blinders on. They can only see what's right in front of them. And the problem with that is you can't see other options and possibilities. Like, wait a minute. I never thought of making my own pie, because think of an actual pie. Well, how many slices you could do super thin slices and maybe make 25 or 30 slices. Any thinner than that, it's going to crumble, you know? And so it's kind of like, well, I've got to get my fair share of the pie. Well, it's like, well, what if there's a lot of people and we're all going from this one pie? There's not going to be enough pieces to go around. We'll go make a second, a third, a fourth, and a fifth pie. So now everyone can have a big slice of pie. In fact, why don't you go make your own pie and have the whole thing for yourself? That is an entrepreneur. Now, what a limited mind person will think, entrepreneurs are selfish. No, they go make their own pie. They do their own work. They build it. They like, take my business. Like, this is my business. Nobody else works for me. Nobody's added to it. This is my business. So I get to take whatever I can prosper off of this. Now, do I give money away? Yes, I do give. There's actually 2 families that I give money to on a regular basis, okay? And there's other things that I do other than that. But the point being is, if you looked at that as a selfish thing, you completely missed what I'm talking about. And that's the thing about people that are either or. Like, see, when you're in the right brain, you can think of and both, plus and more. Here's what I'm trying to tell you. You don't have to scrimp and scrape and get 3% of the pie. I'm saying, why don't you leave those people to that pie and go make a whole pie where you can have 100%? Not only do you help yourself, but you're helping them, because there's 3% more for them to divide up between them. My overall point is this: you don't have to think there's one pie. You can make more pies. You can get a group of 3, 4, 5 friends, start a business together, and you guys can divide that pie between yourselves. You can do it however you want. Options and possibilities. Another possibility is you can get together with other people and you can help each other make your own pies. So when people come together, they tend to be more it's almost always be more prosperous when they have this prosperous possibility mindset. So now, instead of having one pie, you can help your friend have 2 or 3 or even 5 pies to themselves, and they can help you have 5 pies and so forth. And now you got this overabundance that you just literally give away to other people. There's an unlimited abundance of possibilities, so these are just a few. But there is one thing. Whenever 2 or more people of like mind comes together, it creates a dynamic power and energy. It's called synergy. So now there's more energy for both. And now it begins to create more abundance and prosperity for both. And that's what those images before, where the couple was making love in that circle, and it's like a battery. It begins to build and build and build energy instead of taking away, which is the limited mindset. So this applies to everything, including relationships. When you start looking at relationships in terms of spaciousness and the bigger picture in options and possibilities, like plus and more and both plus and more, all of a sudden you're not fighting each other. All of a sudden you're not like, I got to get my equal share, and I hugged you 3 times, you got to hug me 3. All of a sudden there's an abundance of hugs, there's an abundance of love, there's an abundance of food, there's an abundance of energy. And that really is what this is all about. There's an abundance of energy for everyone to take as much as you like. In fact, there's going to be more than you can take, so it doesn't matter. And then you can create even more than that. There's no limit to it. So all of a sudden you're in a relationship that is awesome. It is unlimited happiness, joy, love, peace, everything, prosperity, wealth, fun. So I understand for right now these are just concepts, okay? But when you learn how to do these and to create this actual way of being, your whole world, like even when you stand in line at the grocery store, like it's going to be different. You're like, wow, you're going to see how everyone's pushing. And even when they talk, they lean forward and lock on. Whereas you're just content, you're grounded, you're in your own bubble, you're in your own space. And it's a very comforting place to be. Here's the really cool thing about all of this. This is where you access your true power. The other thing, that linear forehead push against resistance, that's equivalent to putting the brakes on in the car. It feels real powerful because you're pushing down and holding on the steering wheel, but you're not going anywhere. And this is why a lot of people go, I don't understand, I'm working really hard. The minute someone tells me they work really hard and they're not getting what they want out of life, it's because you have the brakes on. And but it feels powerful. And it's a really weird concept, because when you let go of the brakes, it doesn't feel as powerful, but now the car goes. Now you can go faster and faster and faster and get more of what you want out of life. But it doesn't feel like you're going fast, because it feels like you're in the flow. And that that's actually what's happening, because everything begins to go smoother and it becomes more flowing. You increase your sales, you increase your influence, but again, it's not influence it's not manipulation influence, it's creating something that people actually want. Okay, it's a completely different mindset and way of looking at things. It's about freedom. It's about freedom for them too. It's allowing them to make their own choice by creating something and expressing it in a way that they can deeply understand and connect with it. And from that point, they can make an actual real life decision. Another thing this does is it allows you to be really peaceful, like this image. You become very content inside, and what that does is it makes you very, very powerful. People are drawn to you. See, here's what happens when you can really develop this internal sense of knowing and being with clarity, and I mean completely silencing your mind and your heart, just calming it all the way down. It's different. People will look at you, and on an unconscious level, they're going to be drawn to you. And here's the thing, you begin to understand people on a much, much deeper level with greater clarity. There's no scattered or all ping-ponging. There's just a sense of clarity, openness, and receiving. And that is where your power comes from. The other way, pushing on the brakes, you're not going anywhere. What feels powerful and what is powerful are two radically, completely different things. Come learn how to truly access your real power. So go ahead and sign up now. I'm going to do a special I've never done before. So I'm going to throw in 5 sessions for the price of 3. So my normal fee is $250 per session. And now I've lowered it. It's going to go back up pretty soon, by the way. So I've lowered that down to $125. And I'm going to give you 5 sessions for the price of 3 at $125. And that will equal $375 for 5 sessions. So we can get you started on moving in this direction of everything I've talked about in this video. Alright guys, God bless you. If you like this video, click subscribe, click the like button. And remember, if you click subscribe, make sure you click the all bell, because you're going to click subscribe, then the 3 bells pop up, so click the all. Click the like button, make a comment, and if you want, go ahead and make a donation. There's a donation PayPal link right there in the description box. God bless you guys. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.